Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Left Off the Map. Now this year I've been working with a restaurant in Hobart called Peacock & Jones, and my role as culinary curator is to work with the kitchen team to find the best local suppliers and producers in Tasmania. One of the ingredients we found this year was new potatoes. Now new potatoes are fantastic here in Tasmania. And you can always tell a new potato. They're normally quite small. The skin's really delicate when they come out at the start of the season. And that skin you can leave on. You don't have to scrub it off. You don't have to peel it. You can just pop it straight into some water, which is what I've done here. I put the potatoes into cold water, brought them up to the boil. They're gonna sit at a boil for about 5 minutes, and then they'll be nice and tender and we can drain them off. I'm gonna create a bit of a dressing or a sauce to go with them and do my absolute best to make these potatoes the hero of this dish. My potatoes, I'm going to check with a paring knife and just see if they're tender. So I can turn that off. Strain off my water. Potatoes can come out, and now I just want to cut them. They're going to be hot, but cut them into the sort of the size that I want for serving. So you can see just by the look that nice beautiful yellow colour, and that skin is sort of delicately coming off. You could peel that off with your hand if you wanted to, like that. You'd have this beautiful yellow, waxy, tender, excellent flesh. So we want to work with them while they're hot. So I'll give you an example of that, how delicate that skin is. So that skin will just peel off like that. So I'll pop these back in. I don't want to break them up too much. I want them to keep their shape. But while they're nice and hot, when they're hot, they're sticky. So it's a chance to get some flavour to stick to the flesh. So some oil. Good quality oil. Squeeze of lemon. So you're dressing them already. Pinch of salt. And to be honest, with new potatoes, with good quality new potatoes, you could just do that. You could just good quality olive oil, lemon, salt, parsley, and that really would be all you would need. So I'm just gonna dice this parsley really fine. And now I can move on to the dressing that I'm going to make to go with it. So I've got a bowl here, some sour cream into our bowl. I'm going to dice up some gherkin, dice up some shallot, add a little bit of horseradish, a little bit of seeded mustard, and some more parsley, and some finely grated Parmesan cheese, and then whisk all that together, and that's going to be the dressing that will go on top. Well, I'm not going to put it on top, I'm going to put it on the side. So you would get to try the potato with just the olive oil, the lemon juice, the parsley and the salt, and you would have that cream there to add to it as you need to. So I'll get on to that, and we'll come back and put it all together. My cream is done. My potatoes have been sitting. So I'm going to pop them into a bowl with all the dressing that was in there with them. And like I've been harping on about, you could just have them like that and life would be good. You wouldn't need a lot more. But if you want to, you can have this to go with it. So we'll just add a little bit of it. A little bit of that sort of yummy sauce grabiche cream on top of new potatoes with lemon, good olive oil, parsley and salt. Now we're going to go and learn a little bit more about my collaboration with Peacock and Jones in Hobart. So Ish, it's a big responsibility to come in and take over Jeff's menu,
yes.
But it is something that you're now going to do as head chef at Peacock and Jones. So when you get that, you get that invitation or you get that opportunity to start developing your own menu, what are the first processes you go through in setting that up?
So my biggest focus would be to keep the standards where it is. You know, that's my biggest priority because this establishment has been here for quite a while now, and it is known for its produce-driven ethos.
Yeah.
So my primary focus is like to keep the standards as well as to showcase what Tasmania has got to offer.
In setting up the menu, what are some of the dishes that you're really excited about getting on there, playing around with, and having people come in and start to eat?
I love pretty much all the things on the menu.
It's like asking which one of your children do you love most, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So there's no standout. So I can tell you some of mine that I'm really excited about.
Yep.
I really like the sound of the lamb.
Yep.
I know that you sourced the lamb from a really good spot just outside of Hobart.
Absolutely.
Follow the Derwent River up towards New Norfolk.
Yep.
I think it's called Hamilton you get the lamb from.
Yes.
So it'd be awesome to go out and meet them, have a look at the farm, get a real understanding of their farming practices and find out what it is about them that makes the lamb so good.
Yep.
The lamb is also paired with a goat's curd, a curdy.
Yes.
And the
curdy.
broccoli is also, you've got like a goat's curd dressing.
Yes, so we do use curdy with a little bit of olive oil and some cream to emulsify it, so we get that consistency. So we do use it from Tongola, the leaf farm. And yeah, we do put it on our lamb dish as well, just to showcase like what local ingredients can do to a plate, you know, simple but yet.
Yeah, and Tongola's not far away either, so we might head over the river, out past Sorel, check them out. I know they've just had a whole heap of baby goats.
Yep.
Desserts. I like the look of the desserts. The Bombalaska.
Yes.
It's something that is a little bit old school. What are you planning on doing with the Bombalaska to make it modern?
So like you said, it's a very classic old school dessert, but we just want to bring, so this is more about showcasing the seasonality. So raspberries, they're coming out for summer. Verbena, we've got it in our garden.
Yeah.
And we do forage some elderflowers, kunzia, which we go on our days off and see what's around, what, you know.
So you go forage, that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Great.
So it's more about showing the seasonality and what's around us.
I'm really excited about the desserts and particularly that one, so I'm looking forward to that. Also, the menu's broken down into smaller and larger plates.
Yes.
Is the idea for people to come in and be able to share a few different things off the menu so they're getting a good tasting across what all of Tasmania has to offer?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been designed for people to come in and share. So, for instance, you know, two people come in and they want to order two different plates of food, but at least like they want to try it out at the same time. So it's been designed like that.
Yeah. And I think that's a brilliant way of dining, especially here in Tasmania, because there are so many wonderful things to try.
Yep.
The other thing that I like now is the duck.
Yeah.
So the process of preparing the duck is a long process.
It is, yes, long and complex, but then, you know, it does the justice to the produce, like whatever we do. So, I mean, we're willing to put in the hard work if it's actually showcases the product on the plate, and, you know, for our guests to realize, okay, this is quality, we are willing to put in that hard work. And it's a fairly long process, because by the time we get the ducks in, we process it, and it goes on the plate, it's about a week.
And like you said, you are willing as a chef to put in that hard work if you're starting with an amazing product that's only going to make that product better. Australian duck is where you get the duck from in the north of the state.
Yep.
So you're starting with this really fabulous raw product.
Yep.
Then you can take and try and add your flair and your design and your thoughts to it to take it to the next level.
Yep.
The other one that I really like the sound of is the calamari.
Yeah.
So calamari is locally sourced again from the East Coast.
Absolutely.
And how are you treating that?
So with the calamari, we try to get them every week. It's a big job as well, because the process we go through, it's a big job. So we do get whole heaps of calamari in, and then we clean it, and then we pretty much, so this is a French term called côte bouillon, which is a fish-based master stock. So we poach it in that for a couple of times, and then to finish off, we put it on the char grill, so it just absorbs that smoky flavor profile to it.
Yep.
And we pair it with squid ink, fennel cream, and the whole idea about this dish was I wanted to showcase, like, we do not waste, like, the bare minimum wherever we can waste. So we use the wings, all the offcuts, and all the tentacles and stuff to turn it into a cracker. So it's pretty much about using the whole animal.
So it sort of limits wastage wherever you can.
Yep.
I'm really excited about that one as well. So I'll let you get back in the kitchen. I must say that the menu is a fabulously written menu. I'm looking forward to you being able to execute it. I think it's a really good example of what Tasmania has to offer.
Absolutely.
You've got lots of different proteins, lots of great fresh produce. Absolutely. The desserts are exciting. Yep. So if you jump back in the kitchen, I'll set up a meeting with George at Lyndall Farm.
Yep.
I'll set up a meeting with Tony Shearer at Rocky Tops. And I'll set up a meeting with Ian and Kate out at Tongola.
That would be lovely.
And we'll go out and see them, because I'd love to see what they're doing on the farm to give us the best produce possible.
Absolutely. That would be an amazing experience.
Yeah. I'm really excited about my new role at Peacock & Jones and working with Ish, getting to go out and visit those producers and develop a menu that really shows off what they're capable of. Back to the kitchen here. We're doing a whole roasted side of salmon. This is a fantastic recipe for celebration time. The first thing that pops into my head is Easter. So I'm gonna make a really simple sauce to go with the side of salmon. The side of salmon is gonna be slow roasted in the oven, 120 degrees for about half an hour. That's the best way to make sure you cook the fish gently all the way through. And to go on top of that, I'm making a sauce vierge, which is a sauce made of extra virgin olive oil. So lots of extra virgin olive oil into a pan, cook off anchovies, olives, garlic, some really strong flavours. Cook them out so that the anchovy dissolves, and then add in parsley, basil, and I'm gonna chop up some cherry tomatoes and put them in. We'll get the salmon in first, and then we'll come back to our sauce. My garlic and my anchovy is in the oil, and I'm cooking it at probably the lowest temperature I can get it. I want, just like the salmon, the sauce is cooked very gently. Now, I've taken the salmon back out. It was in probably 8 minutes, and I just want to baste our salmon with some of this oil. So that will go back into the oven now. So I'll turn that off and just let it sit, and then we'll bring some heat back into it in about 10 minutes time, so the sauce is ready to go when the salmon is cooked. A little seasoning on my fish. So the next component of the sauce is going to be our herbs, our tomatoes, and our olives, but they don't go in until probably another 10 minutes. Turn my oil back on. I'm ready to add the rest of my ingredients. So my tomatoes. I'm just going to gently cook, well, confit these ingredients in the oil for about 5 minutes. And then we can take our salmon out and dress it. The salmon's been cooking for about 25 minutes at the moment. So, like I said before, it's slow cooked salmon. It's the best way, I think, to roast a whole side of fish. It's gentle, the salmon will come out really moist and really tender. Just like slow cooking any other piece of protein, you end up, I think, with a better result. You just need that time and you need to have an oven. So if you were having this at a barbecue or something like that, you were just putting it on top of the barbecue, that would be absolutely fine. But I think if you've got the ability to give yourself an extra 45 minutes, then do it and prepare your salmon this way so you can slow roast it. Turn that right down. 5 minutes, just gently cooking that through, and then our salmon can come out. Salmon is done. I've just basted that again with the oil, and now we can dress. The last thing I did was put some lemon juice in there. So just at the end, turn the heat off, add your lemon juice, and it will emulsify pretty well. All right, so now it's time to dress our salmon. Smells are awesome. You've got that sort of intense smell of the anchovy, but all the freshness of the herbs and the lemon juice. So it's really nice. All right, that's a pretty good basting of our olive oil. And remember, your olive oil is your dressing. It's your sauce to go with the fish. So when you take a portion out, make sure you get some of the juice, the oil that's around the fish, dress that on top of the portion that you take out. There'll always be a little bit left in the pan that you can use as well. And that's gone on there nice and warm, so it's ready to serve. So a great way, I think, to cook a whole side of fish for a celebration, something like Easter, I was talking about before, Good Friday. It's a gentle way to cook your whole side of salmon. And then the sauce itself that goes on top is luxurious with lots of olive oil, but it's well balanced with the lemon juice and the fresh herbs in there right at the end. So if you haven't tried slow cooking a side of salmon, give it a go. And if you haven't tried this type of sauce, give it a go as well. All of your knives need to be cared for and stored properly. So having a knife block is a good place to start to be able to put your knives back every time you're finished using them. And try and get into that habit of not leaving them sitting around. Once you're done with them, they should go back into your knife block. Don't put your knives in the dishwasher. The dishwasher is way too hot and the chemicals in there are not good for your knife. Warm soapy water is all you need to clean them. They're stainless steel, so they'll be protected with warm soapy water. Now, different knives are used for different things. Don't use a knife that isn't flexible for something that requires flexibility, because the knives that aren't flexible, like the utility chef's knife or the sculpt knife, are very brittle, and if you try and bend them, they will snap. The reason they're brittle is because it's very, very, very hard steel, so you can get a really sharp, fine edge that stays sharp for longer. So make sure you're using knives that you should be using for the right job. Now, if you're using a knife to cut through bone that isn't designed to cut through bone, you're going to end up putting little jagged edges in the blade of your knife. So again, use a heavy knife if you want to cut through bone. And then you get down to your paring and your utility knives. A paring knife, as you would think, is used for paring. So dealing with small vegetables, you've got more control. Don't use a chef's knife if you're trying to peel or pare a small vegetable. Use your paring knife. So it's just common sense. Think about what knife you should use for the job that you want, and then use that knife. And your steel can be used on all knives. So you need to keep your knives edge sharp with all of them, whether it's, we refer to this as a bread knife, but that serrated edge knife I use for carving things like pork belly, which has a really hard skin, and the serrated edge helps cut through that. So that's the best way to care for your knives and store your knives, and think about the process of which knife you want to use for which job.